I was stunned. I was surprised that the NFL lost the antitrust lawsuit. It was such a complex issue. I thought it was going to end in a hung jury, that it was so complicated, but it only took them 5 hours. That's absolutely stunning to me, as complex of all the discussion of contracts and promises and money, et cetera. It only took the jury 5 hours. The end story, and I asked a couple of sports legal people about this. One told me that he is of the opinion that Roger Goodell, who had never testified in a federal case, got on the stand and really screwed this thing up for the NFL when he talked about the operation of Sunday Ticket as compared to the operation of CBS and Fox and how it impacted the TV contracts. Another sports law guy told me, Lee, it was a paper trail, a smoking gun. Connect the dots, if you will. When they read a letter that an executive from Fox sent to the National Football League that said, we are not going to agree to the financial terms of a TV contract extension until we know or we have input as to what you're going to charge for the DirecTV Sunday Ticket program. We are not signing this deal until we know what the dollar value is. We're not going to give you the big dollar if you're going to allow listeners, viewers to walk away from us to subscribe to something that becomes a competitor. I was told that letter is the thing that killed the National Football League. And of course, the NFL, in its approach to things, said, we've always been pro-consumer. We've always been pro-fan. Well, it's always been about a money grab. And I think that steamed a lot of people. The damages, John, are unbelievable. It's 14.4 billion because it's an antitrust awards. 14.4 billion. How would you like to think if you're Spanos, the Chargers, if you're Kroenke, the Rams, because they have to pay their share of the settlement. Each team has to give up 449 million in income to pay their share of this antitrust settlement if the case is not won on appeals. That's the next thing, is the National Football League lawyers will file, they will appeal it. It's going to take a while. It's not going to happen immediately. But all this is the bottom thing of the NFL announcing you want to buy DirecTV, you want to see Sunday Tickets, $449, which was radically higher than it was under the prior group under DirecTV. So they lose the lawsuit. We'll find out what happens on appeal, but this is stunning. Other topics on the table. He loves me not. We're talking about the 49ers. We're talking about Brandon Ayuk, star young wide receiver. San Francisco's got massive salary cap problems. Brandon Ayuk, who had refused to come to OTA workouts, no progress has been made at all in Ayuk's ability to get a contract extension. Finally met with John Lynch, the general manager, over the weekend, and they indicated that he will stay with the team, even though these contract talks are stalled. He's making $14 million in the final year of his contract. Ayuk wants everybody else is getting. He wants 25 to 30 million. He wants a jump in a new contract from 14 to 25 or 30 million. He was given a lesson in economics 101 by John Lynch because they got salary cap problems and they have to deal with a big money pay raise that's coming to their quarterback, Brock Purdy. Ayuk emerged from the weekend meeting saying, I will play, but I can't guarantee he's not going to be a distraction during the course of the season. There's another distraction developing down in Miami. Tua Tagovailoa's got 1 year to go on his contract. He's making $21 million. Miami offered him 40. He rejected it. He wants what everybody else is getting, north of 50 million. Miami says we're willing to pay him a fair and marketable going rate contract on the extension. They don't want to go higher than 40 million. So now we got the Tua contract that we got to deal with. New York Jets, he's back. He went to Greece. He went to Egypt. Aaron Rodgers is back. Took a lot of heat for missing the mandatory OTAs. This is the same quarterback that said the one thing we have to change with New York Jet football is we have to stop all these distractions. Well, Aaron Rodgers is back, and he's indicated he's going to work in the next couple of weeks with Jet receivers on his own after missing the mandatory minicamp. And how bad can it be for a quarterback that was a mess? Raiders. Remember the name Jamarcus Russell? He's been arrested in Alabama for stealing $74,000 from a high school boosters group. He was a fundraiser and a volunteer assistant coach at an Alabama high school, John, and he went out and raised $74,000. A booster businessman in Alabama gave it to him. He took it, cashed the money, spent $55,000 of the $74,000 it was supposed to go to a high school facility. He's been dismissed. He's been fired. He's been arrested. How low can your life and your career go? This was a high number one draft pick of, of the Raiders. So, John, that's what's going on in the NFL Notebook. Are you stunned with the outcome to the NFL lawsuit? And how's San Francisco going to solve all this problem they've got with the salary cap?
Well, I mean, as far as the Niners go, you got a lot of star players, and there's only so much money to go around. But I'm still shocked by the Sunday ticket thing. To me, antitrust, I mean, this is kind of a little beyond the scope of sports, but antitrust is really a lot of baloney. It's usually when they just target a big company to tear them down. And that's what the NFL is. They just got torn down. Companies are always making, pricing decisions based on competitive nature of themselves and their competitors and their suppliers. To me, this is nonsense. If you're an NFL owner, you've got to be furious having to come up with $500 million to pay this thing off.
Well, they've got the money. Thing is, it's no longer their money if they lose on appeal. And that's not going to happen in the next 15 minutes. That takes an extended period of time. What's your reaction to the Miami situation? Have we got another contract controversy brewing there with Tua?
Well, this reminds me a little bit about how the NFL was considering a quarterback cap where they could only have a certain percentage of the total pie. I mean, what is the NFL salary cap right now, Lee?
It's going to be, I think this coming season, I think it's going to be at like $228 million. It took a big bump. But the problem is the cap goes up, every position player's contract will probably take a percentage bump too. So they got a real issue on their hands now because all these quarterbacks are asking for 50 million plus. And that's what triggered the conversation that you and I talked about last week, John, is that the NFL says we're going to try to put a cap that a quarterback can only get a certain percentage of the cap as his contract. It might be 35%, it might be 40%. It has to be collectively bargained. So keep an eye on this story because this story is not going to go away. Okay, so we've covered all things football.